Good evening. Today we have, this is Maestro Cretella with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today we have a 3v3 on Calderis Refinery, classic map. Our first player on the blue team is Pads346, hereafter referred to as Pads, playing as the Space Marine Apothecary. A healing hero, focuses on healing, not a great fighter, but he heals some units that definitely synergize very well with his heals. Alright, his first teammate is Haidran, playing as this Chaos Lord. You can actually see his face when he has this DLC. Pretty scary face. He's got red eyes. The Chaos Lord is a tanky melee hero, can disrupt, can get some crazy melee weapons, also has some decent ranged functionality as well. Finally, on the red team, or on the blue team rather, we have Zeo S735, hereafter referred to just as Zeo. Playing as the Techmarine, a ranged hero with a gun for every occasion, plasma, melta, regular bolters, can build turrets, can synergize very well with vehicles. Here he's shooting at some stuff, shooting at a Warboss, I think. On the other team, we actually have Maestro Cretella as the Warboss. What's going on here? The Warboss is a tanky melee hero. He can jump and disrupt and tank and hit stuff with his chain axe and shoot stuff with his twin link shooter and run really fast like there. My teammates, first of all, we got Winkel, playing as this Grey Knight Bro Captain, Silver Grey Knight Bro Captain, tanky melee hero, big force sword, can support with We Are the Hammer, buffing his troops as well as making him go faster. And finally, we have Hakon as yet another Grey Knight Bro Captain. Pretty cool how I caught both of them in the middle of a special attack. This Grey Knight Bro Captain is a Blood Ravens Grey Knight Bro Captain. So yeah, this is a game that I did not actually originally intend to cast. I did not save it. I played it, and then Winkel actually sent it to me in an email as a replay submission, so pretty curious. I think in part because I'm playing as the Warboss, which I don't normally do that much. So I didn't really think of this as a game that I would want to cast, since I'm just kind of fooling around, playing different stuff. As much as the Sorcerer is definitely my main hero, I often definitely fool around a lot with different heroes, trying out a lot of different things. Lately it's mostly been Chaos and Imperial Guard, actually more Imperial Guard than Chaos lately. But I definitely switch around a lot, also play some Eldar, some Space Marines, and just a little bit of Orcs. No Tyranids and no Grey Knights though. Over here I do push up, I do force off Zeo with his Techmarine. Warboss has the angry bits that will allow him to charge into stuff. And I'm actually charging so I can just get back into the fight, even since these Chaos Space Marines and those regular Space Marines are actually just running away from my Warboss, but I need the rest of my units to follow. Attacks in cover. They are in cover, but I mean the Warboss will just walk right through that cover. Unfortunately, he is getting focused down right here, so he will have to get out of here pretty soon. And with that shotgun blast, he could get pretty close to getting wiped. No, he'll be just fine, but he is off the field. Looks like Hakon is coming out over here. Gonna force melee those tactical marines. Takes out one model. We'll probably get at least another one. I think one more, maybe? No. Okay, so the melee DPS isn't that high for the Strike Squad or the Bro Captain. Alright, Orc's getting forced off there, though. Winkel, meanwhile, has his double Strike Squad build. He's been doing that a lot lately, and to be honest, I'm not even sure why. Hakon, on the other hand, has gone for Strike Squad and Interceptors. Interceptors are a jump unit. That's going to give Hakon a little more versatility, I think, than Winkel, since he has just more versatility. And, I mean, those Interceptors are actually tankier than the Strike Squad. So, Hakon right here is capping, or getting the decap off on that point. Scouts throw a grenade, but now they're going to get overwhelmed by range fire from all of these Grey Knights. Double Chaos Space Marine build for Haidran, both with Eternal War. Going to give them a 20% damage buff. That could help them out a little bit. Heretics way overextended for Haidran, though. Going into, I mean, they will win over. Actually, I don't even know if they'll win over a single Strike Squad, but against that big blob, they had no business going into that big blob. A turret set up by Zeo. That's really annoying. I actually tried to use Angry Bits to charge in on the turret, but I ended up just charging into the power node. And it looks like Winkel gets in on the turret, and I'm putting my Warboss in there too, trying to move my Slugger Boys up with some burners so they can actually burn that turret down. But unfortunately, they're just getting killed. Can't even get a burst off, and I'm going to have to retreat my stuff. Warboss going to have to get out of there. Turret at less than half health. Unfortunately, I don't have any kind of jump unit. Turrets can be very difficult to deal with in Tier 1 in 3v3s. Especially when you're playing in 1v1, the best strategy for dealing with a turret in Tier 1 is to not deal with it. It's to go somewhere else and control the map over there. And then in Tier 2, you get out a pretty strong counter to turrets that will just take it out pretty easily. Winkel now does have that Rhino, only with super heavy infantry armor right now, but there aren't really any good Rhino counters out on the field. It looks like Haidran, I thought he might close for force melee on the Rhino. Melee is one of the better counters for the Rhino, despite the fact that it is a vehicle, so it will, it should be able to drive away from most melee. Alright, so looks like over here, the Zeo was pushing up a bit, even got a decap off on our natural VP. I have a Pain Boy out from here, so I've seen this build for Orcs. It seems to be a pretty strong build, getting double Shooter Boys into a Pain Boy, specifically with the Warboss. Looks like over here, looks like both Pads and Haidran are pushing up a lot. And interceptors from Hakon just straight up retreat out of there. I think that was a premature retreat, although they were in against a few too many units. And both Winkel and Hakon have really been pushed back. Winkel and Hakon going to Tier 2. Meanwhile, I'm over here still trying to take out this Tarantula turret. The Sluggas do get a few burner shots off, and I think I might actually take out the turret. Do I finally? Yes, I do finally take it out, and I really had to combine a lot of different things there. I am getting flanked and doubled now. Hakon is here with his Chaos Space Marines. He's using the Heretic Worship with his Chaos Space Marines to allow them to get into melee. That's actually a pretty good use of Worship. It's one that's actually somewhat new to me since I don't play the Chaos Lord that much, and for that reason, a double CSM build seems to be stronger with the Chaos Lord than, say, for the Chaos Sorcerer. So, middle VP is capped for the blue team. Yet another turret from Zeo, and those turrets, again, we're not quite yet to Tier 2. Actually, I mean, both Winkel and Hakon are. I'm not, but it's still very much in that transitional phase where most of us, even if we are in Tier 2, don't really have Tier 2 purchases, so that those turrets are still going to be very tough to deal with. Warboss tries to charge in, but Haidran is running away with those Chaos Space Marines, especially now that he's using that Heretic Worship. Chaos Lord will go down here. Did get overextended and just took too much focus fire from those Shooter Boys. And Haidran just retreats the rest of his forces out of there to avoid taking loss. Now, to compensate for the fact that I lost my natural VP, Hakon pushed up over here. He actually captured the natural VP for the blue team, and he's actually going to go for a little bit of a flank with his Bro Captain. Now upgraded to the Mantle of Terra, gives him the Canticle of Absolution ability, and also upgrading to the Nemesis Warding Staff. You actually don't see that often, even though it is a very good weapon. It does something like 80 DPS melee, which is pretty solid. It's not as good as the Nemesis Demon Hammer or the Nemesis Halberd for the purpose of damage, but it gives him that ward ability that will allow him. It's basically a defensive buff on your units. Alright, Orcs moving up over here. Not doing too badly. I'm actually going specifically for a flank on that Tarantula turret, but let's see. The Grey Knights from Hakon definitely forced off over here. And certainly with that flank, that's a dead turret. I mean, normally, your best bet would be, normally one way to deal with a turret is to flank it. It's just generally harder to flank in teams since lanes are often occupied. There's often an entirely other player when you try to flank in the space where you try to flank. Fortunately, I don't have anything for that Dreadnought. I bought a Def Dread myself, but that won't really be able to take on the Dreadnought by itself. So most of my units are getting out of here, but Winkel is pushing in the middle. Winkel, on the other hand, did get that Nemesis Force Halberd, probably the most popular weapon for the Bro Captain, since it does have that splash and it does do power melee. Makes him just do very well pretty much against anything that he gets into melee with, just with good base DPS and power melee splash. Makes him like a Singer Terminator model, since that's pretty much what he is. Warboss tries to charge in there, but charges into some pipes, and now he's going to die. So that Now I'm Angry ability, it is very good, but there are definitely some tricks to using it that I'm not familiar enough with, especially the fact that it seems to get caught on a lot of things if you're not careful. This Rhino now potentially in a bit of trouble. A smoke bomb was set off to reduce incoming range damage, but we do have a Techmarine with a Melta, as well as an autocannon Dreadnought. This could be a dead Rhino, except for the fact that the Techmarine goes down in the process. And now we do have some orcs coming to support. Those could be dead heretics, maybe? Oh, and now I have to deal with a Space Marine Dreadnought, too. I certainly can't deal with both a Space Marine Dreadnought and a Chaos Dreadnought just with my Death Dread. Fortunately, my Warboss does have the Power Claw. Now, we have a slightly bigger army by just one unit, my team. But I think we're struggling a little bit. Oh, no! I just got a squad gibbed by that Assault Cannon Barrage from the Dreadnought. That was, yes, I lost my Slugger squad. I really saw, like, 3 models gibbed from that. So, Autocannon Dreadnought taking shots on my Death Dread. But now the Warboss is charging in. He's trying to go a bit for that Death Dread, but unfortunately he's getting hit by he gets hit by a Plasma Cannon shot, knocks him down. I used both Warboss Globals on him, but he's going to have to get out of there, unfortunately, and may even die. I try to push with the Death Dread, but just too much stuff there. Can't take on that Autocannon Dreadnought just with the Death Dread. I mean, taking autocannon shots. Luckily, the Death Dread is starting to take las cannon shots from Winkel's Rhino. 2-to-1 cap for the blue team. They're actually behind on VPs. I feel like they've been doing better overall, in part with me derping with orcs. Deciding to replace my Slugger squad because I need repair support for that Death Dread. Currently don't have it because I lost my Sluggers. Fully kitted out Apothecary from pads, anointed power axe, combat stimulants, and improved medical equipment will give him a lot of energy to cast all of his spells now, since he will have both combat stimulants as well as healing. Let's see. Oh, and that could be a dead scout squad, so that was Zio losing a scout squad, so unfortunately poor play by him to just lose his scout squad right there. Hakon pushing up again. Hakon doing very well in this lane, frequently getting a cap off on this victory point, but he did just lose his bro captain in retreat to those Assault Space Marines jumping in. He is getting a decap off on the blue team natural. His interceptors are being a little overwhelmed, though, by Assault Space Marines with that Apothecary. Now, I guess this Apothecary with that power axe is going to function pretty well with Assault Space Marines right by him. Pretty tough melee blob to deal with, I think. Death Dread going in for melee with the Dreadnought, attacking it a little bit. Unfortunately, it looks like Winkel lost. Yes, he did lose some units. I'm going in here, trying to take out that Dreadnought. Winkel's also trying to help out a bit with his Psy Cannon Strike Squad, as well as this Rhino. I think that could be the end of that Dreadnought. Unfortunately, though, the Death Dread does a special attack, and that will not help me take out the Dreadnought. Really pushing for that Dreadnought, but I might be overextending my Rhino. Winkel's trying to help out too. Unfortunately, with the repair support, I'm going to lose my Death Dread. Decide to try to run it out of there, but I just lose it straight up. So not good at all. Oh, I think as it is, Winkel overstaying his welcome too. Might lose this. Oh, and he loses the Rhino as well. So big losses for the red team, for us. 2 dead heroes, vehicle losses, and now we are not in a good situation at all with 2 players on the blue team having vehicles. Those were vehicles that were already superior to our vehicles, and now we just lost our vehicles. Hakon, on the other hand, is actually carrying his weight. He is getting a Grey Knight Dreadnought. He's actually switching out the Melta for the Dreadnought Claws, and you actually don't see that very often. And we even saw the Melta gun on that Dreadnought just gibbed a Space Marine model, attack model. So, I mean, that Dreadnought, especially I think against the Dreadnoughts on the other team, that Melta could have been nice to keep. Now, Pads actually doesn't really have good vehicle counters. I mean, he's got soft vehicle counters with Melta Bombs as well as the Sternguard Veterans. Let's take a look over here. Chaos Lord gets a decap off. Definitely a lot of pressure on my lane. Haidran pushing in here. He does still have that. Chaos Dreadnought. So I'm getting some tank busters. AV unit for orcs, power free, but often complained about as not really being good enough. Now a single cap for the blue team. They only have the contested VP. I need to get my natural one back so that we can stay in this game. So melee Dreadnought from Hakon. Let's see how well that will do. So Winkel says he's going to try to revive my Warboss. Could be a little risky with all of these units here. 2 ranged Dreadnoughts, as well as 2 ranged Chaos Space Marine squads. Chaos Space Marine squads, definitely, if they are going to be against Grey Knights, they could afford to get a mark of some kind. Will dramatically improve their performance. But, I mean, the blue team is doing well enough with their ranged Dreadnoughts. Apothecary goes down, but now we have the Canticle of Absolution, preventing all of these Space Marine units from using their abilities. So the Assault Space Marines can't use their Melt-A-Bomb right now because of the Canticle of Absolution. It's now over, so they can. Does the Grey Knight Dreadnought have that Emperor's Fist ability to disrupt? Yes, it does, and we do see it right there. I think Pads is actually overextending a little bit. He's losing a lot of models. Could come very close to losing some squads, but instead it's Hakon who loses a Grey Knight Dreadnought, so not looking good for us, for the red team. Losing a lot of units. Unfortunately, a plasma cannon shot about to go in on those Slugger Boys. That's going to be devastating. They need to retreat out of there before another assault cannon barrage absolutely obliterates them. And those Slugger Boys, I thought they had the knob, but it looks like they lost it. Or maybe they didn't. Warboss getting in there, charges in, knocks over those tacks, as well as that Techmarine. And now Tank Busters should be able to start shooting at that Dreadnought. Ooh, and we also had aiming what's that to suppress those Stern Guard veterans. They're going to start taking a lot of model losses from this Warboss. Warboss overstaying his welcome, though, and might die. Oh, and he takes a plasma cannon shot and dies trying to go for that Dreadnought. So that Dreadnought, unfortunately, I have my Slugger Boys way too close to that Dreadnought, but I'm trying to get my units behind this Plasma Cannon Devastator squad. And both Winkel and I are pushing up, trying to deal with that Dreadnought, using Tank Buster rockets, as well as Psy Cannons on the strike squads. Now, it looks like we're having a Land Raider Crusader drop in. I don't know if that's from Winkel. That is from Winkel. That is just something he does a lot. He likes that Land Raider Crusader. It is a very good unit. And right now, I mean, I'd say it's relatively uncountered. Haidran does have the Chaos Dreadnought, but, I mean, just an autocannon Dreadnought will not do that well. It will certainly be able to do some damage, but I think not enough. Haidran does... Oh, not Haidran. Let's see. Winkel did revive me, and then I just instantly retreated, but this Chaos Lord from Haidran, now level 8, just straight up wiped my Warboss in retreat. And I've lost a lot of units. I lost one squad of Tank Busters, I lost the Warboss, and I also lost not a Weird Boy, a Pain Boy. So fully kitted out Chaos Lord, Harness of Rage, allowing him to regenerate energy. We do also have an Imperial Abyss absolutely devastating on Winkel's Land Raider. Actually, not that bad. I mean, the Imperial Abyss can definitely do some AV damage. It does do heavy melee, but not that much, and especially now that Winkel drove out of the center rings, he should be fine. So I've still got my double shooter boys. My Warboss is on the ground again. He just got revived, and I tried to just instantly retreat him, but unfortunately it wasn't good enough because the Chaos Lord was right there. Now, Haidran was trying to upgrade to the Mark of Tzeentch, and so I used that opportunity since when Chaos Dreadnoughts are immobile while upgrading, I did a Rocket Barrage. Luckily, Haidran had the right reactions. He stopped upgrading, moved the Chaos Dreadnought out of the way, and started upgrading again over here. Alright, thanks to this this Land Raider Crusader, we are able to take back the middle. Obviously, we've been struggling a bit. I've been doing terrible. Winkel hasn't been doing that well either. Hakon, I think, has been doing a little bit better than Winkel and I, but he's still... Certainly, he can't compensate completely for us. Now we have a Chaos Dreadnought with the Mark of Tzeentch. I'm actually not sure how good of a choice that is, especially as much as I think the Chaos Dreadnought is awesome. But there's definitely multiple AV sources. We have multiple Psy Cannons. Now, we only have Strike Squad Psy Cannons, so they won't be as good as Purgation Squad Psy Cannons because there'll only be one per squad, but we still have 3 Psy Cannons. We do have Tank Busters. They're really staying back by the end of this, the edge of this Land Raider Crusader. Those Tank Busters, not really all that powerful. Warboss goes up again. Winkel helping me out a bit. Does now have the Holy Armor of Titan on his Bro Captain. was allowing him to revive my Warboss even under all of that range fire. Now we have tier 3 purchases out, but another rocket barrage going in. Mostly missing stuff, certainly missing the vehicles, but that does require them to drive forward a little bit. So tank busters, luckily tank busters are pretty much being ignored. That's allowing me to do pretty well with them. So they're actually taking a few shots, but now the Great Unclean One is not ignoring them and does use that vomit on them. Takes out 2 models. I'm actually getting new tank buster models, though, from that Land Raider Crusader. I need to go closer to the Land Raider Crusader, though. Obviously, we have a Great Unclean One now for Haidran, a stinky super unit for Chaos. Another vomit goes in there, but misses everything. Tank Bust is staying in the field by virtue of getting reinforced by this Land Raider Crusader. So that's nice because I can definitely keep a lot of AV presence. My Warboss is back on the field. Hasn't been doing that well. And I also have to be really careful for my Shooter Boys, and I lose one Shooter Boy squad. Not quite paying attention. Huge losses for me, but I'm keeping these tank busters on the field, and I actually take out the Predator. And now we have, what's this? An orbital bombardment. I don't even know which player that's from. Probably Hakon. Goes in on those Devastators. Looks like pretty much only those Devastators. Now we have a Land Raider Redeemer from pads. And another orbital bombardment. I don't know who this one's from, but it will certainly be pretty scary. Catches a tank buster model, but I still managed to get one tank buster model out of there, and I'm still reinforcing from Winkel's Land Raider Redeemer. Unfortunately, Winkel losing a lot of stuff, loses a strike squad, loses a stormtrooper squad, getting absolutely decimated. That's not the correct use of the word, but he's getting absolutely destroyed. Winkel has lost a lot of stuff. So have I, but now I do have knobs, of course, that ace in the hole, or whatever the expression is for orcs. Knobs, upgrading to have meaner and greener, allowing them to become invulnerable. And this Land Raider in a little bit of trouble. But knobs are certainly going to scare off Pad's Land Raider, because he does not want to tangle with those knobs. Do activate Frenzy, so they will be charging in there now. And now we have some interceptors using that ward ability, and they will take out this turret. We've seen a lot of turrets out of Zeo. So dueling Land Raiders, as well as knobs moving in. Now we have Ard Boys on the knobs, and I think also with the tank busters, they might be able to take out this Land Raider Redeemer. Rocket barrage going in, and yes, takes out that Land Raider Redeemer. So Land Raider Redeemer out from pads, getting very close to losing those knobs though. But the knob gets purchased. It's actually a 2-to-1 cap for the red team, despite the fact that we've got like no units. We just took out a Land Raider Redeemer, and now the victory point, Hakon has actually taken the blue team natural VP, so it's actually a 2-to-1 for us, 203 to 249. This Land Raider Redeemer, though, does have to be careful. Land Raider Crusader, rather, needs to get some repairs from these Stormtroopers. It's really moving back. Does not want all these Space Marines. Oh my god, so Assault Space Marines actually just died for pads, I think. Now over here, looks like Haidran is pushing up with this Chaos Lord, level 9 Chaos Lord, absolutely ridiculous. I have another dead Warboss, level 2. As you can see, I'm doing utterly horrendous with my Warboss. But I did very well with both the tank busters and the knobs, taking out that Land Raider Redeemer, as well as just keeping those tank busters on the field, a lot by virtue of that reinforcement from the Land Raider. Now, Winkel really needs to stop and repair and not be too... He really does not want to lose that Land Raider Crusader. It's part of what's keeping us in the game. But we still have double Dreadnoughts to deal with. We actually have missile launcher turrets. How often do you see that? Missile launcher turrets from Haidran. No, not from Haidran, from Zeo. Hakon is moving in. He doesn't have to worry about the suppression from the turrets anymore, though, since Zeo switched out those Tarantula, the heavy bolter turrets for missile launchers. So it looks like Winkel's moving back in. Another orbital bombardment, rocket barrage as well. And it looks like that orbital bombardment does catch a Heretic squad. I think this Heretic squad for Haidran will be done, and yes, that's a dead Heretic squad. Still most of those units out of here. I'm going for a flank with the knobs, using both of the Warboss Globals on them, and I decide to abandon going after the Chaos Dreadnought, and now I'm going after the Great Unclean One. Let's look at that Great Unclean One lose health. No. It's not going to lose health, but I do bring my tank busters up here as well. And now the Great Unclean One is definitely losing some health, but the Devastator Marine Squad for Zeo is suppressing my knobs. They do have to get off of there, and one tank buster member also got flesh hooked or foul snared by the Great Unclean One. Winkel keeping this Land Raider in. He really needs to be careful. He really needs that repair support. He might want to consider getting another Stormtrooper squad to support it with repairs. Knowing him, what he's probably doing is saving the resources just in case to just straight up replace the Land Raider Redeemer or Land Raider Crusader if it dies. But the blue team is coming back out here, and they will get a cap back on this VP for them. Pads now with Terminators, Stern Guard veterans. He's healing them with the armor of the Apothecarian. That's actually not that commonly seen, but it heals units over time in an area, kind of like a much better version of the Apothecary's passive health regeneration aura. And these strike squads getting absolutely diced by the lightning claws. Sync kill by the Chaos Lord. Level 10 Chaos Lord already. Level 4 Apothecary. Level 6 Techmarine. Dead level 2 Warboss. Level 6 Bro Captain. Level 4 Bro Captain. Now have Paladins out from Hakon. They're much like Assault Terminators, function very similarly. They have Thunderhammers, will do heavy melee damage, and have 5,250 health. Hakon not satisfied with the performance of his Paladins, though. As it is, I lost another shooter squad. Winkel is trying to revive my Warboss. But now I also have flash kits in addition to my knobs and my tank busters. So I've had horrendous unit preservation throughout this game, but I'm actually doing very well with the units that I have. Ooh, not there though. Not after those knobs. Took a hit from that Plasma Cannon Devastator. Let's see, Winkel is just going for the decap on this middle VP, uses the Holy Armor of Titan Immortal ability to go invulnerable. I don't think he can finish that cap though, and now he's taking damage. He will need to retreat out of there, I think, or he will die. Oh, he just backs him up. We actually have ranged Paladins, do have a Psy Cannon, crazy stuff going on. Now a Whirlwind from Zeo, a big army from him. Zeo has definitely made some interesting unit purchases, as well as not just unit purchases, but interestingly building purchases. Now, where am I? I'm mostly off the field, but again, I'm mainly using these tank busters very well. Just using them as a constant AV threat to the Dreadnoughts on the blue team. And Winkel is managing to keep this Land Raider alive. He really needs to get more repair support for it, I think, though. Hakon now with a late Dreadnought, this one getting the Plasma Cannon. Absolutely crazy. Constant fighting over here. I'm going for a flank with my Knob Squad. Warboss coming in through the middle, and Tank Busters, where are they? Tank Busters did have to retreat. Now a flank with the Knob Squad is going to be really good, since this Chaos Dreadnought is pushing up. It has to watch out for this Warboss with user choppas, but now I think there's no way this Chaos Dreadnought can survive against those knobs. So one Dreadnought. Oh, just kidding though. The knobs get disrupted, but I think they will still take out the Chaos Dreadnought. Just one hit, I think actually the Warboss will take it out. No, wow, just kidding. And wow, that Dreadnought just barely gets out of there with 30 health. I thought I was going to get it. A double cap for the blue team, 182 to 158. Some kind of call-in right there. Got to be for the Space Marine players. What do we have? A Venerable Dreadnought out for Zeo. So Zeo's got a huge unit count. He's got more units than we can see in the unit tab. And that Venerable Dreadnought is definitely going to be pretty dangerous to that Land Raider Crusader. But Winkel has Paladins of his own. And now we have double Paladins from both Winkel and Hakon that could really threaten that Venerable Dreadnought. But it does get out of there. It uses the Emperor's Fist. Constant healing on these units. Going to be making the Terminators extremely durable, as well as even just the Stern Guard veterans and the Tactical Marines. Certainly a lot of AV out from the blue team as well, with Vengeance Round Stern Guards, as well as Missile Tax. What is this Land Raider Crusader doing? Going way too forward. Paladin's also nearly dead for Winkel. He is getting reinforced, and yet another orbital bombardment. Gonna take out some of Pad's stuff, I think. Plasma cannon shots going in from Hakon's Dread. And oh man, so Zeo losing some stuff as well. And it looks like what else is going to go down here? And these tank busters still doing very well. Absolutely crazy stuff. And I think that's actually going to be a dead Venerable Dreadnought. Tank busters doing damage. Yes, dead Venerable Dreadnought. Warboss also in here. Where are my knobs? Knob's going to go around for another flank. But the Venerable is dead. Unfortunately, I'm going to lose my flash kits. I don't even know what they did. So again, I have like no units again. Now a Predator out for Haidran. Vanilla Predator. I guess he can afford to keep it vanilla for a little while, but Haidran has a huge amount of resources. I think I wiped like a setup team, like a Plasma Devastator with these knobs, and now they will also take out. They've got to take out this Chaos Dreadnought now. Taking out the Chaos Dreadnought. Use your choppers on the knobs. Take out one Dreadnought. The blue team also lost another Dreadnought. Huge losses now for the blue team. And these, oh man, the knobs will also take out another Plasma Cannon Devastator. So knobs are really good, especially with the Warboss. You combine them with the Warboss Globals, and they do absolutely ridiculous things. They're going to take out the Apothecary too, I think. No, but they're getting disrupted by this Whirlwind. Pads lost 2 tack squads. And now we suddenly have a huge red team presence in the middle. I'm going for another knob squad because I'm the Warboss, and I did so horrible with all of my other units. But these knobs are doing quite well for me. I'm trying to go after that Whirlwind now. Will I get it? Unfortunately, my knobs are starting to get low on health. Frenzy is on cooldown. I'm trying to hit that Whirlwind, get it down to 131. I don't think I will get it, unfortunately, because now I'm going to be walking into base turrets. Warboss tanking a lot of stuff, though, now with heavy armor. Level 4, doing a little bit better with him. But now us, the red team, pushing up all the way in here. Constant fighting in this game. Knobs in a lot of trouble, might go down. Luckily, they still have a large health pool at level 3 with 4,562 health. But my second knob squad is out on the field. Those knobs, really, really tough to deal with, especially with Warboss buffs. We do have double Zinj-cast Space Marines now for Haidran. Haidran's definitely suffered some losses, but those Zinj-cast Space Marines will definitely get shut down by this Land Raider Crusader. This must have been, I think this is still the same Land Raider Crusader that Winkel has had the whole time. He's sitting on a lot of resources. I feel like he might be doing that just in case he needs to buy a new Land Raider Crusader. Land Raider Crusader has been at like less than 50% health for like most 90% of the time that it's been out on the field. This Great Unclean One now moving in, but I think moving into just too much fire. Paladins are right there, and now in Orbital Bombardment. This one must be, it is from Winkel. He decides to use it, catches some of, are those his own Paladins? Yes, he's Orbital Bombarding some of his own Paladins, in addition to some of Pad's units, but now it's a double cap for the red team. Knobs in here, take out a Whirlwind. No, they took out a Predator, I think. Or maybe it was a Whirlwind. Now I think the knobs will also take out this Great Unclean One. I even still have Tank Busters in here doing very well. And it's a 2-cap, a single cap actually for the red team, because Zio is moving in over here, trying to get my natural VP. I have the Warboss in here. He's got a ton of health. He's shooting at point-blank range against the Stern Guards when he needs to engage them in melee, and knobs are going to force Zio off and not allow him to get my natural VP. Looks like more units dying over here. Lots of scouts. I think scouts will go down. Yes, they do. So Pads loses a scout squad. Knobs are going to take out this Whirlwind. And we need to cap. So it's actually just a single cap for the red team. And I mean, Zio is definitely moving up in here. He's lost a lot of units now, though, and unfortunately he just can't contend with my knobs. And my knobs even take out his Stern Guard veterans, and his Techmarine cannot take on the knobs either. Knobs are so good. His Techmarine does disrupt my knobs with bionics, but too little, too late. And now it's a single cap, and that's going to be the game for the red team, quite miraculously. Double cap for us, and we won the game. So certainly a crazy game. I guess part of me did not want to cast that because I played absolutely horrendous to start out. But I actually did pretty well later on. I mean, in part just using knobs and doing what knobs do, although also doing very well with the tank busters. The Land Raider Crusader was definitely another one of the game's MVPs. And it was actually just really amazing. The blue team had these huge vehicles in the middle, Predators, Dreadnoughts, and we somehow managed to broke it. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.